Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today we have the rock star of the rock stars. Like there are rock stars that learn from this rock star. So I want you to do all of your friends and your family and people who follow you on Facebook and social media. I want you to share this out to them so they can all benefit from hearing from Mary Kate O'Connell. Make sure you share this out and stay with us. We'll be right back. And we are back. Let me bring Mary Kate O'Connell on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here on a Friday, my favorite day of the week.
I am so excited to have you here. You and I have never met, although we've been friends on Facebook for 62 years. I'm kidding. I'm not even 62. But I am like, I love your content. I love who you are. I love your content. I love what you do. And I literally, let's be honest, I had to beg you to be on the show.
That's not true. You did ask me years ago, and I don't know what happened. It got lost in the sauce. But thanks
Yeah.
for the nudge. I appreciated that the other day.
I'm so grateful that you're here. So, let's talk about, I mean, I've been around, you've seen, the show here and there. This is all about helping people have a breakthrough in life. And I've done it for almost 5 years now. So talk about, like, start with where you were born and raised. Where did it all begin? And do you go by Mary or Mary Kate?
Mary Kate. If you want to
Mary
shorten it, you can
Kate.
call me Kate. I have no problem with that. But I don't answer to Mary
Oh,
typically. Uh,
really? And
yeah,
my automated email system sent you an email saying Mary. I
it
was
did.
like, oh,
Yeah, it's okay. It happens all the time. I was born in the Boogie Down Bronx, though, way back
whoa.
when, and lived there for about 8 years, and then we moved to Westchester County, which is about 25 miles north of Manhattan.
So you were
And I
born and raised in New York?
yeah,
Wow.
I like to say that I got
Okay.
out of the Bronx without the accent, so
You
I hope
have
that
no
complimented.
accent.
It slips out a little bit, but it was never bad. Not that
Yeah, I
Bronx
don't I
accents
don't
are bad.
hear it. So so and what is it, so you were about 8 years old when you left the
Yeah,
Bronx, and what is that, like third grade, maybe?
it was 3rd grade, actually, yes.
Wow. So did you like go, but I have friends and I don't want to move?
No, because we lived in a 3-bedroom, there were 5 of us
Oh
kids,
wow.
and, we were all kinda over it, so I was excited about it. We, moved to a bigger house, a little more property, nice little area, so I was okay with leaving when I was a kid.
And you said it was Westchester County.
Yes.
Because I don't, as you can tell, I know nothing about New York. Um, I've been to Manhattan once in my
That's it?
life. I drove there. I drove there from Ohio.
Wow.
I'll never do that again,
Oh,
especially
me
since there's like a warrant out for my arrest or something for not paying a toll.
That's why I don't go to Maryland.
They they sent me a bill with a $200 fine. I'm like, what's the fine for? And they're like, for not paying the toll. And I'm like, I tried to pay and you said you would bill me. We did bill you. You didn't pay. I'm like, you know what? Stick the toll where the sun don't shine. I'm not. I'll never pay it. They're like, we'll suspend your license anyway. So you went to Westchester County. I don't know anything about. Is that like out in the country? Is
No,
that
it's a suburb of Manhattan. Half-hour
oh,
train
it
ride
is.
into the city. Yep.
Wow.
Close enough,
Some
far enough away.
yeah. Somebody said bad mistake, Manhattan traffic. It was
Oh, yeah.
crazy. Um, so you were still going to like a city school? Is that how it worked?
No, it was a Catholic school,
Oh,
very small community kinda thing. Not tiny
okay.
community compared to other places, but no, it was a nice
Yeah.
little Catholic parish community.
Yeah. Okay.
Great place to
Is
grow
that where
up.
you graduated high school?
I did. I graduated high school, then I went to Fordham University in the Bronx, and
Wow.
after that, went to, St. Joseph's in New York also for a master's degree, so that's I think I
What?
forget how many it's all Catholic school. The only time I didn't go to Catholic school was, kindergarten.
Wow. Holy
Oh, yeah.
crap. So you ended up, I mean, we just kind of fast forwarded. You had five siblings, or there were five of you kids, right?
Well, 7 altogether. There were 5 when we moved out of the Bronx, but 2 more came along afterwards, so 2
Wow.
boys 2 girls and 5 boys.
So your parents did not own a television, apparently.
That is correct.
So wow, okay. So there were seven kids total. Where did you fall in the pecking
The
order?
spectrum.
You were
2nd oldest. So,
wow.
it was, older brother, then me, and then brother, 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 and my
Okay.
sister came along when I was 16, so I was the only girl for 16 years.
Oh my God. Wow. So you learned how to fight.
True. Well, the nice thing is my dad never treated me like he treated me like a princess, but he also taught me everything he taught the boys. So I could change a
Wow.
tire, change the oil, fight with the best of them.
Oh my gosh. So after going through the high school, college, where did you stay in New York? What'd you start doing? What was your degree? What are your degrees in?
Well, my undergrad is in psychology. I wanted to be a psychologist. So, growing up Catholic, I knew that I would want to have a practice that had a spiritual element. So I went and got a master's degree in religious studies with a concentration in dogma. So
Wow.
that was no joke. Did that while working full time. But goodness, let
Wow.
me go back. My parents are both entrepreneurs. So since my first lemonade stand, I had the bug, and I've kind of been chasing that my whole life. I just love being an entrepreneur. So my dad had a printing company, and I worked there through college, a couple years after college, and then 21-year-olds. I'm like, I'm going to go out on my own. Like I had a nice job. I knew I wasn't going to get fired because my dad was the boss. I had a good
Right.
salary. And it's like, oh, I would rather go way out of my comfort zone and make it on my own. And I'm sure my father, bless his heart, was probably like, what are you doing? But
Yeah.
my parents were 2 of the most encouraging people I've ever known in my whole entire life. So when I said, I'm gonna go make it on my own, my dad gave his blessing. My mom said, go ahead. And I started freelancing in New York City at People Magazine. And then a job opened up at Sports Illustrated, and the perks were incredible. I mean,
W- w- w-
every game, I was a diehard Yankee fan, still am. At every game, the Knicks games, the Rangers games, the Giants, I mean, it was ridiculous the perks you got. So I stayed at Sports Illustrated for 7 years. I retouched the swimsuit models. Yes, they are all retouched, and had a great time there. But kind of looking around, there were people there that had been there a million years and they were never going to go anywhere. And
Yeah.
little old me decided to go out on my own again. And
But wait, so you said you were in graphic design? Is that what you were doing? Or
yeah, I was a retoucher.
oh wow. How's that related to psychology? I'm
Oh,
just
it's because it pays the bills.
kidding.
You know,
Right,
I mean,
right,
that's what I
right.
put myself to graduate school with freelancing as a, graphic
Wow.
artist. So plus it was fun.
Was the graphic artist thing, was that like a passion?
Yeah, so when I worked for my dad at his printing company, he had me in sales, he had me as his assistant, and I kind of gravitated towards the guys that were doing the retouching and the color correction because I thought that was cool. So I asked him if, I could jump into that department. And I was trained by some of the best in the business because my dad's clients were all ad agencies in New York. He did the cover of New
Wow.
Yorker magazine, the names are escaping me now, but all the big ad agencies were his clients. So he had a good team and I learned from the best. So
Wow. That's incredible. So you were at Sports Illustrated for how long again?
7 years.
7 years. And you saw, gosh, I can so relate to that too, like being at a place where you're like, "So how long you been here?" 60 years, and like,
Yes.
what? So so you saw that and you were like, "Yeah, no, I can't." And you're in your sounds like by that time you're in your late 20s and right?
20, 20, yeah,
27
late 20s. Yeah,
ish.
let's do that.
Yeah. Um so where did you go from there?
From there, I went out on my own as a freelance graphic artist. And I'm going to age myself right here. But back in the day, if you were a freelancer in New York, you had to get a beeper. So I was that person because they call you, they say, we have a job. The first one that calls them back gets the job. And, the money at Sports Illustrated was really good. So it's not
Yeah.
like I left for the money. I left because there had to be something more out there. And moving around. I worked at, oh my goodness, New York Post, all the big New York Times I did work for,
Wow.
all the big, ad agencies and all that. Come to find out that there's more money in pharmaceutical advertising.
And
So I
what?
pharmaceutical advertising
Oh, yeah.
because I had
Yeah.
been doing work for advertising agencies, mainstream pharmaceutical paid more. So your girl went over to pharmaceutical.
Wow.
Glad I'm out of that, but that's what I started doing. And it was, I
Pharmaceutical,
what's up?
like you were creating pharmaceutical ads?
Yeah, all the stuff that they took to doctors' offices, all the ads, the packaging, the whole 9 yards.
Wow. Wow. So, okay, so you started your own pharmaceutical ad agency.
Yes. So what happened was, I'll make
How
this a
yeah,
quick story.
yeah.
One of the big pharma places was launching a new drug. The timeline was ridiculously short and the work was tremendous. And I got called. I had built a reputation at this point in the pharmaceutical industry as being one of the best pre-press people, all that stuff. So I got called into an office one day and they said, we can't do this lunch without you. And that's where I kind of felt like I made it because I said, I know you can't do it without me. And the next thing out of this lady's mouth was name your price. And I was like, ah. So I named my
Wow.
price at the time. All right, I'd been working at two agencies. I was crazy, but I had big goals. So I'd do one from 8 to 3. I'd walk across town in Manhattan, work 4 to 12, and I did that for long enough to build that reputation quickly. So when she said name your
Wow.
price, I was able to quit both agencies because I had doubled, my hourly rate at that point. So
Wow.
we did the launch, we pulled it off, and it was one of I don't even want to say the name of the company, but it's one of the big ones, most successful launches, period. Out of that, I was
Wow.
offered a six-figure job running 3 departments in another ad agency. Took the job. You're gonna see a pattern here, Ken. I took the job. I was there for about 8, 9 months, And I'd
Yeah.
met, I'd worked with one partner before and another one. The three of us got together and we're like, you know what we did with that pharmaceutical company? We can do that ourselves. So we modeled it based on that launch and started our own agency.
Wow. Jeez. So, I look, uh, I always say I'm severely unemployable because I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like it's very, very difficult to work for somebody if you're an entrepreneur. It just is.
It is.
So, so you were only there 8 or 9 months, and you left and started your own deal. How did that go for you guys? And it was three of you, right? You said.
There were three of us. Yep.
How did
How did
that
it
go?
go? The first year we called it spinning in our chairs because we had no clients. We weren't agency of record. That's something that you have to fight for. And we went out to lunch a lot. We struggled. I kept working because I was like, I'm not just taking this dive. I need a backup plan. So thankfully, I was able to, work on the side. But
Wow.
after a year, we got agency of record at a really big agency. That it's kind of started snowballing after that, and then we were on our way.
And how long did you have that?
I was with that company for 6 years. So two of us
Okay.
decided we didn't like the way the third was working. There was some
Mm,
shady stuff going on. Let's just say that.
mm.
Corporate apartments we didn't know about, so then it's now we have to hire accountants, now we have to hire attorneys. So two of us said, "Buy us out," and, that person bought us out, and that wasn't
Wow.
a cheap buyout either,
I was gonna
you know?
say this sounds like, I mean, if you can hide corporate apartments, it sounds like it had to have turned into a multi-million dollar situation.
It did, and it was
That's incredible.
amazing.
Wow. And how many
So,
employees did you build up to with that?
well, what part of our model was to hire senior people. So there's a lot of minutia in a regular agency. There's traffic and
Yeah.
there's copy and proofreading and all that stuff, and we kinda just got and not as employees, we hired them as contractors. So
Yeah.
we really didn't have full-time employees, but we had full-time contractors that were senior people to get the job done more quickly and efficiently. So when I left, we had probably 10 contractors.
Wow. Isn't it amazing though, if you look back over all of that, um, I can look back and go, man, there were times when we had to borrow toilet paper from my mother-in-law. Like we were so freaking broke
Yep.
and like overdrawn broke. If you know what that means. But so broke, and you look back and you're like, how did we survive and not die? Like it sounds like that's kind of where you were, like here and there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I had to pay one of my partner's mortgages at one point. I mean, she's my best friend too, so it doesn't
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But yeah, we were stone cold broke, and I was able to help her out one ye one day because I had kept working in the background because
Yeah,
well, thank
yeah,
God too.
yeah,
But yeah, no, people
yeah,
see the success story, and this is across the board, and they don't get the struggle. The struggle's real. But the thing is about that company was we were laser focused. We were not gonna quit. We were doing everything, under the sun to make sure it was a success, and that was what kept us going, especially in
yeah.
the lean times.
So your third partner in the company bought you and your other partner out. Sounds like it was a pretty big buyout for you. So you walked away with $1 billion. I'm kidding.
Not
But you walked away doing well, it sounds like.
I
Where did you go? Did you have to sign a non-compete and all of that, or where did you go from there?
Yeah, I mean, by the time we were done paying our attorneys to draw up the deal, it
Yeah.
wasn't a windfall, but it definitely was a situation where I didn't have to jump back into something to keep paying the bills. But
Right.
um, yeah, we signed a non-compete. But at that point, we both, my best friend and I, who left, both were kind of over pharmaceuticals anyway. because it's just a dirty business. I'll say it.
I I have my opinion. I hear you and I don't disagree with you. How about that?
Right. We'll
So,
leave that right there.
okay, so what did you do?
I went back to doing my thing, freelancing.
Did you
um,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
And at that
And
point I was able to do it from home because, like I said, I'd built a reputation and I'd
yeah,
got the work done. So I was always really good and at being disciplined and working from home too. So went back to
yeah.
that.
And you're still in New York
No.
at this at, no.
Oh, at that time I was, yes.
No, I know you're not now. But at that time, the audience doesn't know where you are yet, but we'll get there.
True.
But so at the time though, you were still in New York and you just started freelancing again. Where did it all go from there? Because I know you're not in New York anymore. Um, where did it all go? What happened?
Well, I met this guy. I met
Oh
my husband.
God, I
Come on.
know.
I had a summer house in Newport, Rhode Island, one of my favorite places. So we went there every summer. And,
Wow.
you know, my husband's from Boston originally, lives in Naples. And I'm thinking this guy's from Boston. He's cute. All right. I can date someone in Boston. I didn't know he lived in Florida. So anyway, we started dating, got engaged. Then I announced to my parents I was moving to Florida after I got married. And they were like,
Wow.
I am the person that swore I would never leave New York. But
Really?
yeah, oh, I'm a big city girl.
Wow.
Yep. No, nothing's better than New York. I wouldn't say that now, but um, my husband's my husband's a golf pro. 25 years. He's retired from being a golf
Wow.
pro, but he said that's why I have to be in Florida. If you want me to work all year, I have to be in Florida all year. And I was like, that sounds good to me. So
Wow.
packed my bags, moved to Florida, and was introduced to an entirely different job market. Obviously,
Yeah.
gone were the days of just being able to pick up the phone and get a freelance job.
Do they even have a Subway in Naples?
They do.
Do they?
Yeah,
I didn't
we
know
got Chick-fil-A, Subway, we got it all.
that. He's
Jersey Mike's,
shit.
one of my favorite places.
I didn't mean the restaurant, but
Oh, that kind of Subway. I thought no, do you know that there are places in Florida that are exclusive? I'm sorry, that just went right over my head. But there are places where they're not allowed to have any kind of commercial restaurants. Ken's gonna laugh at me for the rest of the day, and that's okay.
I can't even believe you.
It's lunchtime, Ken. I'm hungry.
I'm starving. I hear you. So okay. So you end up, and I'm not trying to date you, but at what age were you when you ended up leaving New York and going to um, Naples, where they have Subway and Chick-fil-A?
I'm gonna go down in history for that one. I know it. I was 38, 39.
Okay. So
Bloopers.
I just, I've never,
I can't
oh
believe I
Lord
just
have
did that either,
mercy.
but that's okay.
Uh,
It's me.
okay. So
The
you,
blonde
you
hair
went,
is natural.
hey, you're way more educated than I am. Okay, you end up in, I've never even been to Naples. It's crazy.
Oh, you're
Um,
missing out.
I know. I've heard. But so you're in Naples. You spent your first 17-ish years um in New York doing your thing, building multi-million dollar companies and all the fun stuff. And now you're in Naples and you know everybody probably at this point. I'm kidding. You didn't know anybody, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
What in the world did you do? Like,
When I tell you, it was now, I was getting paid because I sold my company, but I don't wanna sit around the house. So,
Right.
0 jobs. I was I think in certain instances, they were like, "No way, New York," because there are marketing companies down in Florida, obviously. But I think, I had to dumb down my resume a little bit. You can't it was a little intimidating to be the owner of a big agency in New York. So, with that being said, I went to bartending. I had done it in college, and I grabbed a job bartending because I just wanted to be
Bartending.
doing something. Yeah.
So you went from a multi-million dollar ad agency in New York to a bartender in Florida, and you're
Yes.
still getting paid from the company that you sold in New York. So you
Yeah.
didn't have to bartend.
No, but like you said, I didn't know anybody in Florida except my husband, so
Right.
I'm just gonna do a little something, something, make a little kinda networking situation happen. It was at a country club too, so it wasn't
Uh,
like a, wild
yeah.
saloon or anything like that, but that didn't
Right.
last very long
Right.
anyway.
It didn't?
No,
Yeah.
I wanna be out
How
until 3
long?
in the morning serving up drinks at weddings. Had to get out.
You're like, this is not for me.
Exactly.
So how long did that last, bartending?
I did it for about a year.
Okay. And then where'd you go from there? You're not the I know you well enough to know you're not the kind of person that's just gonna go, well, I'm gonna stay home and eat some bonbons and
Or Subway.
watch reruns of or Subway or Chick-fil-A. Um,
Exactly.
I still, um, what did you do? What, like, you left bartending. Um, look, my wife is on here. That is like everyone's dream. Move to a tropical place and be a bartender on the beach.
Right, Jill? It
For
is.
real. For
It didn't
real.
look that way, though. It was a country club, there was an ugly uniform. Anyway, so I saw the, job advertised for a moving company, and it was for a marketing person, work at home. The owner was up in somewhere in Michigan. So it was a nice little gig, and it was base plus commission, nobody looking over my shoulder, felt very much like doing my own thing, except someone else was responsible for the paycheck. So did that for a bunch of years, got promoted to GM, which was not a promotion, let me tell you. 'Cause, then
Right.
I went, and then it was 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., nonstop insanity. You know that moving is one of the most stressful things, so if you're dealing with only people who are moving, it
They're all
wasn't fun. But
stressed.
what's up?
I
Oh, it
said
was all
they're all stressed, and their
all stress.
stress gets put on you. I worked for a moving company as a mover for one day. One day. I said no. No. Never again. No.
So
It
you know
sucks.
too that the revolving door of guys working for you, because
Yeah.
that was, but what I
Yeah.
got out of
No.
that was when they put me in the spot as GM, the culture there was horrendous, just absolutely horrendous. And I was kind of tasked with turning it around because if the culture's horrible, the revolving door is going to go quicker. So I actually look at that job as a real blessing because of the bond I had with the guys that worked for me. I had up to 30 at one point. And, when you
Wow.
make people feel seen and appreciated, it's amazing what they'll do for for you and, in support of each other. So I really turned that culture around, and at one point went to it was a nationwide moving company, so we had a yearly annual meeting, whatever, and we're sitting around a round table, and everyone's saying what their biggest problem is at all these franchisees, and it's can't keep the guys, can't hire good guys, can't find good guys, the whole thing. And they got to me, and I was like, I don't have that problem. And the whole table, what are you doing that you're keeping guys? I'm
Mm.
treating guys like human beings. I'm treating them like people that should be seen and appreciated. I'm going out on moves and bringing them Gatorade and should I say it, Ken? Subway. Um,
No
now
Chick-fil-A.
I'm torturing myself. But that's what I mean. I was blessed to
Yeah.
be able to take care of these guys to the point where they knew that I really cared about their well-being and their welfare, and they were total rock stars for me. Just some of the best in the business.
Wow. Okay, so we're getting into something important now, and I kind of have a. I'm curious because you are, and this is just my opinion, but you seem like somebody that is a relationship builder. Like you form relationships, friendships with people, and I think about because I'm the same way, and I think about some of the people that I've had to leave behind when I left a place or I sold, like how did it feel? Because I know eventually you left that. You said you were only there for a year. How did it feel leaving those people behind that you'd built these relationships with?
I was there. I was in the GM spot for about 2 years, but I didn't leave them.
Oh,
They're still my friends. I mean,
wow. That's awesome.
that's how I am. Like one of the movers that was the best mover I've ever known. And by the way, just can I shout him out? Deshaun Strong. We call each other BFF. This guy left and started his own moving company and has seen like tremendous success. So
That's
just
so awesome.
that kind of mentorship, you can't put a price on that. I absolutely love doing that kind of stuff.
That's so awesome. So you were there for 3 years then, about.
With the marketing and everything else, so the marketing I did 3 years, the GM position I was doing for 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
what? Where did I get a year? I thought you said a year. I'm sorry.
I
So,
might have
so you were there for a while.
5 years.
And what happened? And this is all in Naples now.
Yes.
Okay. Where did you go from there? What happened from there?
Franchise changed ownership and adios. I went back to doing marketing and, at that point, I
Wow.
had built a rather large network in Naples, and
Yeah.
so I went back to doing marketing and, making brochures for people. It wasn't a ton of money, but it kept me busy.
Yeah. Brochures, the trifolds.
For the fire department, yeah. They were one of my best customers.
Really? That's
Yep.
awesome. Um, okay. So, okay. Keep going. Where'd you go from there?
Okay.
You started marketing again. Um, it's incredible to hear this because like, and I want to ask you, or I guess make a point to everybody listening. So as you continued along, you're building these relationships and friendships, but you go back, you're like, okay, I'm going back to freelance marketing. People didn't just like show up at your door and go, hey, we need a freelance marketer to help us. You had to go find that business, right?
I did.
So how important was having the ability to sell and prospect? How important was all that for you?
It was everything. I was going nowhere fast if I didn't when I was in New York doing the freelancing, someone was sending the jobs to me. This was on me,
Yeah.
so I went after
Yeah.
all those relationships that I'd built when I was marketing for the moving company and said, "Hey, if you need anybody to do this or that or whatever." So it was all sales and all me.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you stay freelancing and that's what you're still doing, or did anything else happen?
Of course, there's more.
I know. I want to hear it. I want to hear where,
Don't
because
too
I
much
know
time
that,
yet.
you got involved in network marketing and some other things. I want to hear about all of that. How did you get out of freelance marketing and into where you've been now for a little bit?
All right, that's a funny story. I also saw a job posting one fine day because I mean, in as much as I love that freelance kind of thing,
Yeah.
I do like stability too. I'm pretty normal
Right.
like that. But I saw a
Yeah.
job for a communications person for a nonprofit that was out of DC. Here we go with the pattern again, though. The company was up in DC, which is where the people were that I was working for, and they were connected with Ave Maria Law School in Naples. So they handed
Mm.
me keys, and I had my own office and nobody around to bother me, and I just did the communications.
Wow.
So I was pretty happy there for a while, and I don't know, one day the lady kind of ticked me off, and I open the computer and I see member success manager for Ray Higdon. And I think I had heard his name just from being around town. I'm not kidding. I didn't really know who he was. And I'm like, so I'm reading the job description. I'm like, I can do this. And that's how I came into Ray's universe,
Wow.
interviewed for the job, was never in network marketing. Um, I did have a father-in-law that dabbled in it, but that was all I knew about it. So if you were to ask me at that time, I would have been like, that's a pyramid scheme. It's not, obviously. But um, funny, when I first interviewed with Ray, he encouraged me to start a network marketing company. And I was like, that's not for me. But I loved the coaching aspect of, the position with him. So it took me a
Yeah.
couple of years, but then I was like, wait a minute. I'd be crazy not to do this. It's another stream of income. My face is all over Facebook anyway. Why wouldn't I start a side hustle? So it
Right.
fit right into that little kid with the lemonade stand mentality that I have.
Wow. You know, I know Ray. He is an amazing human being. Um, Incredibly smart. Him and well, Jess might be a little smarter. If Ray's, I'm kidding, Ray. He would agree with me though, probably. Um, like that's an intense environment though. It has, I would imagine, because they're just movers and shakers making things happen. And how did you like go from freelancing, um, making your own rules, kind of to now you're working under somebody else's rules. How did that go for
The
you?
job is such well, first of all, Ray puts a team together like you would not believe. So when I
Right.
first joined, it's all top notch. It kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of how I ran my ad agency because we took the best of the best, and that's what Ray's got on his team. So
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I came home, and then just as the job evolved and as I got more into, the group that he has, which is Rank Makers, which is over 10,000 people strong,
It's
paid
crazy.
subscription group. As I got in
Yeah.
there and got my feet wet and started coaching, and this is where things come full circle. The psychology came back because
Mm,
when I didn't finish that degree, it was because I was making a lot of money, and I was like, I don't want to listen to people's problems all day. That was my
right.
20s, early 20-year-old self. Um, Coming in here and being able to coach and see people have breakthroughs and cheering people on. I mean, that's like a dream job. Absolutely. So it doesn't feel like work, even though it is.
Uh, So it's interesting because I mean, we all see, you see it a lot. The, the success barriers, the excuses, the things that people make up in their own head to prevent them from taking the action, to overcome the fears, to all of that. What are some of the most common things you see that are holding people back from, um, having real success in life?
It's just what you said. It's all mindset. It's
Right.
beliefs that we've taken from childhood into adulthood that we don't even realize we've taken. And that's where the barriers come from. That's where the worthiness issues come from. And that's why I love so much what I do, because mindset is the key to unlock success. It really is. And it's something you have to always work on, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. How okay, so I had Brian Tracy on the show, who's one of my heroes. Like he changed my life 30 years ago. And I asked Brian, I said, "You know what?" I said, "Brian, there's people that'll hear all of your," because he was spitting just fire the whole time. And I'm like, people are gonna hear this, they're gonna know that you're right, that you need to write it down, write it down, write it down, and all of the stuff he said. But they're not gonna do it. Only a tiny percentage are actually gonna do it. Like, how do you get the people that they know they need to take the action? They know they need to read the book. They know they need to get the coach. They know they need to do these things. How do you get people to change? And he said, you can't change people. And I'm like, damn it, that's not what I want to hear. How do you change people? Like, what do you, and that's, so my question for you, Mary Kate, is how do you get people to take action when they're paralyzed in the fear of taking that action?
One word answer is coaching. You got to get a good coach. And I'm gonna, if you'll indulge me for 1 second, I
I
want to
will.
kind of.
I'm going to give you full screen to indulge you too.
Uh-oh, look out! Now I
There she
forgot
is.
what I was gonna say. Um, I grew up, I would say, very privileged, and I don't mean privileged money-wise. I mean privileged by two amazing parents who constantly poured into us, constantly encouraged us and helped us and patted us on the back and supported us. And a real quick story, I want to illustrate where this started. When we
Right.
were kids, my dad would take us to this little strip mall. There was a pizza place, a deli, a candy store, and every time, ever since I was at least 10 years old, he would park directly in front of the big window, send our 10-year-old self in there, my 10-year-old self, with the directive, if any big people try to cut in front of you, in your loudest voice, you yell, "I was next," to the person behind the counter. And it's such a simple thing, but my gosh, what an empowering thing to do for a kid, because
Wow.
it was nonstop. Every time he went to the store, I jumped in the car and he told me the same thing. And I would come running out with pizza or whatever, be like, "Dad, see that guy over there? He tried to cut in front of me and I stopped him." My point for sharing this is that my parents empowered us as children to stand up for ourselves.
Mm.
And I went through life. They also did it in high school and college. If you ever disagree with a teacher, you tell, or, disagree with the teacher, disagree with the teacher. That's fine. Tell us about it and we'll back you up.
Wow.
Like, kids don't get that. And I didn't, I thought, honestly, I went through life thinking that that's how parents treated kids. Well, I got to a harsh reality when I got into coaching because I started realizing that they are very ill equipped, a lot of children, because of their circumstances.
Yeah.
And it all kind of came full circle when one day I had coached all day. I had heard horror stories all day. And I mean, really heartbreaking stuff. And I called my mom, who was brilliant. And I said, "I don't understand why they're not thinking they're worthy. I don't understand that. I really, truly didn't." And she said, "Mary Kate, if a child is told they're not worth anything, they believe it." And it was like, so all that being said, I believe that since I was blessed to have the parents and the upbringing that I had, that I have an obligation to unlock this unworthiness that people have. Because, like I said, once you unlock that, then the possibilities are endless. So I do
Yeah.
see what I do as an absolute obligation in thanksgiving to God for the blessing of my parents.
That is so amazing. My wife said we do the same, and we do. Ours, my daughter, when she was 8 years old, said, "I want to do a lemonade stand." We lived on a cul-de-sac. I'm like, there's no traffic. Why would you do it? She was going to do it in the driveway. I said, go. We had a big privacy fence and a gate and a very busy intersection out there behind the privacy fence. I said, you need to set up out there at the intersection where cars stop. They have to. And so she goes out there. I said, make a sign and do gymnastics and do all kinds of stuff. And if you see any police officers, give them a free lemonade. And I'll never forget this. She went out there and she did it, and she made $200 in 2 hours. And because people are just giving her $20 because they loved her, and didn't even want the lemonade. So, but it was a very valuable thing that she learned. And she says, and now she's 12, and she stands up to us like crazy. But you're right. I never even really thought much about that. But how do how do you help people have that as a coach? How do you help people have that breakthrough of you're just living in the fear of, or the story that you believe somebody called you worthless as a kid, and you still are living that? How do you help them break through with that?
Well, I like to start by explaining how strong the tie is. And I typically there's a story of I go into. I don't want to take too much time, but my grandfather went into the hospital, had an operation. We visited him. He was fine. We went to the beach. Next thing he's died. He's dead. So 5 years old. Earliest memory was Papa went to the hospital. Now Papa's dead. What that did to me was it linked death with hospitals, and I took that through my entire life. I was always
Wow.
afraid of hospitals. I do the and it's not that I wouldn't go into hospitals, but I would do the church laughing where it's inappropriate, and I wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. But what I want everybody to understand is that's how tightly linked that is. That's how we don't realize until I went into coaching. I didn't realize that that link was from when I was 5 years old. And
Wow.
so when people, I'll get on a coaching call and I'll start asking questions about the childhood because for me, I think that's always where it goes back to. And they'll start telling stories, and I just listen, and then I link it for them. And I don't say this is what it is. I say, does this resonate with you? If you were, I don't know. I mean, I could go into 80 different scenarios, which I won't, but I
Sure.
just listen. I listen to how their parents were, what their upbringing was like, and then just I think it's part of the psychology training. It's really easy for me to pick out where the hitch is, and then we talk it through from there. And when the light bulbs go off, and when people stop blaming themselves and realize that it's something they carried through into adulthood and their business and everything else, that's when when those light bulbs start going off. That's when people start having real breakthroughs that change their life.
Absolutely love that. I've kind of asked this, but I always ask a couple of questions near the end. I can't even believe we've already been on here 46 minutes. Um, with, and you've sort of answered this. I just want to, so the number one answer to the question I'm getting ready to ask you is fear. And I want you to do better than fear. So it is, what stops people from these two things, and I think they're related. Number one, real financial success, like real financial success, and then joy, freedom, happiness. And I do think that they're related because I've been broke and homeless, and I've been wealthy, and wealthy is better. So I do think they're related. I think that happiness and freedom in life is tied to finances. I really do. I'm not saying it's everything, but I think that it's a whole lot easier being wealthy and miserable than broke and miserable. I mean, right? So
Absolutely.
what stops people from having it all? What is it?
I honestly would say worthiness. If you
Okay,
don't think that you're worthy of success, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting there. You
that's
want
it.
more? That's the simple answer. I mean, it is. What stops people?
Just
I mean,
just
you want a bigger
feeling
answer?
worthy,
What's
believing.
believing well, I mean, what stops people, honestly, is whatever they're carrying from their childhood. If it
Yeah,
was negative, and what I've come to find as a coach is that a lot of it is negative. If you're not
yeah,
as good as your brother, that'll ding you. You'll take that through life. I wish you were never
yeah.
born. That'll get you good. You know what I mean? So even
And people hear
if you're
that. People hear that.
Ken, you've
I
heard
know.
horror stories too.
I
It's
know.
heartbreaking, a lot of the stuff. People being put up for adoption. You would think that that wouldn't ding you, but it will because there's a rejection there, and it's easy to
Yeah.
draw a conclusion that, and it's not never, but a lot of times it's just not even based on the truth. So, but
Yeah.
as a kid, you were put up for adoption. Well, why weren't my good parents, or why weren't my biological parents willing to keep me? I've coached people who are orphans. Giant mindset because that's all abandonment, and it's tremendous pain, and it's if you go through life comparing yourself to others, well, why did they have two parents? I only had one. Why did my
Right.
mom struggle and theirs doesn't? So it's a lot of comparison, but it's a lot of just damage we take from wrong conclusions drawn as children.
I my wife and I started our marketing agency back in it's been a while now. And it was right after she and I met and started working together. And I had already had the company for a couple of years doing website design and all of that. But then, she was this marketing guru and I'm like, okay, let's combine forces. And we opened an office and I had a handful of employees and I'll never forget. This is the worst day of my life. So this big dude that worked for me comes walking in my office. He's like, hey man, there's a dude out in the parking lot looking in the windows of your SUV. And I'm on the phone. I'm like, why are you telling me that? Go kick his ass, man. Tell him to get out. Well, he's like, he's got it blocked with his tow truck. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. And everybody was getting paid except for us, right? And so the bank likes it when you make your car payments or they'll come and take your car, I found out. In front of all of my employees, I watched my car get towed away. And I'll never forget that moment because I thought, what's the point of even being alive anymore? I was so humiliated. I felt like I was at the lowest point of my entire life and I didn't want to be here anymore. And for the people who, and I know you've dealt with people that are like on the edge of ending everything. If somebody called you and said, I just can't do it anymore. I've tried everything in my business. I've tried everything in my life. It's not working. I don't know what else to do. What would you say to them to help get them? Because and I know that it's temporary. It's going to change. It'll get better. But what do you say to them? What would you say to that person that called you right now, feeling like they've lost all hope?
Well, if there's a suicidal ideology there, they're going right to a professional, obviously. Are you
Right.
talking about that kind of losing hope? Because I have spoken to people that
Well,
were in that spot. Or are you talking
yeah.
about this business isn't working for me, kind of losing hope?
Just desperate, not necessarily suicidal, but just at the end of their rope, like they don't know where else to go.
Honestly, that's just usually a conversation because people
Yeah,
feel much better after they talk through. And I just ask questions and listen a lot.
yeah,
I that's really the magic there. There's nothing more
yeah,
to it. If they're prayerful people, then I'm gonna tell them to give it to God. If they're not
yeah,
prayerful, then I'm gonna just talk them through it. But that's one of the most powerful things in what I do is I love when I get someone that believes because I could say, take your anxiety, give it to God, and ask Him to turn
yeah.
it into something for His greater honor and glory.
Amen.
Because
Wow.
giving it to God is one thing, but asking Him to turn it into something for His glory, that's a game changer. So that's
I
that's
love
where I
that.
go there.
I absolutely love that. And Eric Flanoy is on here, who happens to be in the ministry.
Ah,
He's a
amen.
pastor. So wow, he's saying preach, preach, preach. So listen, Mary Kate, you are one of my favorite people. I love, if you guys are not following her on social media, you need to stop that right now and start following her. Your content is so good. It's really creative. It's funny,
Thank you.
mostly funny and very creative. Like it's just awesome. Is
Thank you.
there anything else coming that's coming soon, coming up for you in the near future that you'd like to, or distant future?
Very near
My wife
future.
wants you to say that again. Say what again?
Um, the little
Oh, yeah. Say it
take
again.
your whatever you're struggling with, take your fear and give it to God and ask Him to turn it into something for His greater honor and glory.
Oh, that's beautiful. You're gonna see
And
that
that's
on. Uh, I'm gonna cut that out and make a TikTok out of that.
right, fair enough.
that
That's
that
good
was
because the
that's
more
beautiful.
the more people that know that, the better.
Yes, Look, she says, it's one thing to give it to God, but asking him to take it and turn it into something for his glory is a game changer.
Thank you, Joe.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Yes, we are launching what's called the Intentional Living Room, and it is at intentionallivingroom.com. What it is a group.
Intentionallivingroom.com.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay.
And it's a subscription group, very nominal fee. But what it is myself and my two amazing partners, Anu Fergoda and Rebecca Woods, and it's us pouring into people. Because one of the big things, and we've been working on it for months, and it's just launched uh, because Ken nudged me to be on here quicker than the website was ready, which is no problem. But what it is, it's just it's content. It's us pouring into people, showing them how to live a more intentional life, and it's because we're all coaches. It's that we saw a hole in the marketplace in the past few years. We've really gotten pretty disconnected, and there's
Yep.
been spikes in mental health problems and spikes in people feeling helpless and not knowing what's going on in the world. So we wanted to create a community for men and women where you come in and you get poured into, and it's just such a joy. And I don't know if you're a fan of Jordan Peterson, Ken. I would imagine you are. But Jordan
I am.
Peterson, yeah, he said something like that I absolutely loved. And he said it's he was being interviewed and someone was goading him and trying to, you're angry. He's like, I'm not angry. I'm hurt. And it hurts me that it takes so little to pull someone out of their personal hell. Just a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of direction, a little bit of feeling community and camaraderie. And so that's what this is all about. So the website will be
Wow.
launched very soon. And there's a landing page there now, though, if you want to get more information. And thank you for asking about that, Ken. It's a passion project of ours, and we are very excited about it.
I love it. Intentionallivingroom.com. I absolutely love that. I now have this vision, this feeling of just hanging out in a living room talking to Mary Kate about my problems.
It's not a therapy session, Ken.
Oh,
Um,
damn it.
those I
I'm
charge even
kidding.
more for that, but I'm
Right,
just kidding.
right. I love that though. But it's a community coaching um group thing,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
It's amazing.
Just talking about life and supporting each other. And, we have myself and my three partners run the gamut of age groups and experience. So, to bring all that together, because we all three have different perspectives. So we go live in the group every week and just chat. At one point, they were like, we're kind of like The View, but totally opposite. I was like, don't even, please don't.
Gee.
Total opposite in that we're we're very positive, and we want this to be something that kind of changes the world exponentially. Because when you pour into a little group that's in our intentional living room, they're taking that out into the world and sharing it with someone else who needs a little encouragement.
That's so awesome. All right, intentionallivingroom.com. Now you guys have something else to go. And Eric already said that he's definitely going to stop the not following Mary Kate thing. He's following you today. So here he says, yes, it ends. I will be following her. So
Thank
um,
you.
you're incredible. Your story is incredible. Your energy. Wait till you guys see some of her posts on social media. They're so hilarious. Like some of the stuff you put out is just so funny.
Thank
But
you.
thank you. Listen, I appreciate you taking the time and coming on and sharing your wisdom and your beautiful energy that you're always putting out to the world. I love it. So thank you so much. I
Uh,
appreciate you.
Thank you, my friend. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So everybody, I'm going to end the live stream. Make sure you go follow Mary Kate O'Connell everywhere on social media. Go to intentionallivingroom.com and sign up for everything she's selling or charging. Get in there. I mean, you just got to go do it. It's not even like, I'm sure it's probably free, really, in the big game or big plan. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Thank you, Mary Kate.
Thanks, Ken.